Hello there, and thanks for joining us on VIP Boxing's Bell to Bell podcast. We're on about number 131. I might be one or two up. I think I'm about right. You can watch us on. You might be watching us on YouTube, listening on iTunes or Spotify. Thank you very much, and if you can leave a review, even nicer of you. Thank you for that. You know me, Steve Lillis. You know John Evans, who's on his phone tonight. I think he's rocking his VIP gear tonight.
Yeah, doing it for the brand. Got to keep the boss happy, haven't we?
The other day, we was in the Northeast a couple of weeks ago, and Jed, who does a lot of driving and running around at the shows and giving out passes, he had a big bag of VIP stuff. He gave most of it to Rustin Fat-Coolin for all his efforts on the VIP show. And there was, I think, 300 quid of the gear in there. There was one T-shirt suit left for me, and I gave it to Christian Lopez Flores, the journeyman, who does such a good job, the Mexican, and what a good fella he is too. Anyway, and we've got, talking of good fellas, we've got one on this week. He's a man who bleeds boxing, speaks passionately, cares about the sport more than most things in life. I reckon he wakes up middle of the night when we're stressing about life and what problems he got. This guy worries about the future of boxing, I think. Well, he can tell us that. It's the former British Featherweight champion, Ryan Walsh. How are you, Ryan?
I'm really good, thank you, Steve.
Do you wake up in the night and worry about boxing?
Well, I was having a conversation with my girlfriend, and yeah, I do. She made me worry when she said something. And she's just a casual, she's not even a casual. She said something and it burnt me. I just thought, I love this thing of ours. I love boxing, and just a casual comment of, oh, it's just too staged and it's just too obvious, and it killed me. It's the most unpredictable thing that can be if it's allowed to be. And if boxing becomes predictable, well, it's not the sport for me, and it's not something I want to really be involved with.
Well, you say that. Are we going to see you back in the sport again in the ring? And when?
Yes, if I wouldn't have got a little minor injury, it's my first one in 15 years. I've been 15 years a pro. I was flying. I was looking to be fighting in an airport, and I had a proper freak injury accident. I threw a punch, caught an elbow, and ruptured my distal bicep tendon, which is, I've never heard anyone do it. It's a complete freak, and it just set my left arm back a bit, but I carried on training. So I was out at the gym only very small amount of time. Is that call coming through? Is that flick me around? Hello?
Yeah, you are. We can see you.
Sorry, lads. It's my brother's ringing me. I did tell him I was doing this, but he's obviously got shot to bits.
So when will you be back? You had this freak injury.
Fingers crossed. Well, this is it. Fingers crossed. The board won't be too they'll be fair with me and realise that things, life, and I'll get my license back as soon as humanly possible, because that's all I'm pretty much waiting on. Get my license, get my medical, and touch wood, fingers crossed. There might be potential late November, December, and I'd just jump at the chance to be back in the ring. So yeah.
Ryan, when you say it's the first one in 15 years, now, you're an hard bastard, you, Ryan. Does that mean you've never had an injury in 15 years, or does it mean you've soldiered through many injuries before? Are you a Terminator, or are you harder than we think?
Well, first off, it's my first injury in boxing. I had 3 in football. I had a cut in football, cut my eye, I broke an arm, and I pulled a muscle. I think that was before. One was when I was pro. I got a cut as a pro, but it was like 8 stitches, no problem. But with boxing, obviously you get these horrible little tweaks and little things, but no surgeries, no, like, touch wood. I had nothing until this, and this was such a freak thing. 15 years.
Ryan, you're a high contact fighter as well. You get involved, don't you? So to make it through 15 years training as you do and sparring a lot, it's crazy.
That says high contact, Look at that. That's my brother's manly, but still, did take a good few. My missus come and watch me spar the other day. She's like, "Oh, you're getting punched." I was like, "I can't believe it. Can you not see me now? Of course I get punched. It's boxing. Going to the pool, you get wet, don't you?"
I think it's like Chris Eubank when he had that horrendously swollen eye against Carl Thompson. You could still see it on him a year or so later. He used to call it his badge of courage. So you can call what the punches you've taken there your badge of courage.
That's it. That's exactly it. I'll use that one. Whenever I've got a mark, I always say you should see the other guy. Every time.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, we'll kick on, son. I think you've got a lot to say, right, from the voice note you left me yesterday. It was mad because John said he wanted you on this week. and I'd already sent a message to her about an hour earlier. So just pure coincidence.
You was
our
together,
minds
yeah.
were thinking. There was only one man
Definitely.
to speak about this week, and John, have you got your clock and your bell ready?
All ready to jump.
I don't think we're going to speak on round one. Over to you,
No,
Ryan.
let Ryan coming off his long run.
Referees, you go, Wade.
3 minutes is probably not enough time, but what it is I've been in a corner in a world title fight, and I felt robbed as myself, my brother, and all sorts. And it happens to be the same referee this weekend, and I don't want to jump on referees. They've got a tough job. I talked to my brother this morning, and I do say this: all referees have got a tough job, but maybe talking to my brother, they've got too much. Not so much power, but they've got a lot going on. And why should they be the ones to stop the fight when you've got people in the corner and there's all these other people? But I want boxing to have more Jack Reese referees so we can have better stories. Because if the referee who was refereeing for my brother in his world title fight and the referee on Saturday, we do not see Tyson Fury resurrect and have one of the best performances, and his career has changed all around. And it seems a big thing to say, but I believe in that wholeheartedly. I believe referees have got a massive responsibility, especially in world title fights. You don't get lucky to get a world title fight. You have to work very hard. There's some great fighters who never had one. And you just... And also, it's all case by case. If you're a good referee and you're a professional referee, you should know better than anyone the opponent, the people that you're dealing with. And in Josh Warrington's case on the weekend, I'm really pissed off because we was robbed of a story one way or the other. Josh Warrington gets stopped on the bell. So the bell rings, you've got a minute to recover and you stop him. I cannot excuse that from a professional referee in anywhere. Because like my brother said to me, football match, the team goes 3-0 up, the referee blows the whistle and says, come on lads, game over, you're 3-0 down. It's horrendous. I know boxing's not a game, but it's a world title fight. We're meant to be warriors. You have to be willing to die in this sport. You have to be. I've always told my children, I've told my mum, if I died doing this, I died doing something I loved. It was a purpose. Don't rob me of dying a glorious death. Don't rob me of... And that's what a referee can do. If he's putting his heart on his sleeve, don't do that. I want a professional referee who's going to let me die in there because I chose that. No one forced me into the ring. I chose that I could die here. And Josh Warrington must have woke up Sunday morning dying that he wasn't given the opportunity to show everybody. I wasn't done. And I don't think he was. A minute for a fit man, a minute for a fit human, because I've seen it with my brother. If that referee refereed Liam and Appleby, we don't get fight of the year. That referee could have stopped him on his feet. No. Stop me on my back. Stop me when the count gets to 10. Do not stop me because you're feeling sorry for me. Don't stop. We've got 3 men. In my brother's one, the reason I'm so passionate about this referee thing, I've never got over what happened with my brother in his world title fight. Yes, he was probably going to get knocked out, but let him get knocked out. With 3 men in our corner there, let my brother live and die by the sword. Do not, and that's what really irked me with Warrington. It's the same referee, it's the same type of thing, and it's pissed me off because I'm passionate about this thing of ours. I'm waiting for that bell to ring because I could go on all day.
I only saw the fight because my dog was going nuts in the house with one thing and another. I only watched the first 2 rounds. I watched the ending on Twitter. Only from the one angle I've seen it from, and I've only seen it once, I made the referee right. I think the referee's gone on when he had his back to him and his legs were staggering. And then you did see Josh, as he approached the corner, sort of say to him, I can't believe that's happened. But that is the only angle I've seen it from. So that's my initial thought on it. What was you, John?
I can't go to Valencia, Ryan, because I've never been there myself, but I agree 100% with what he said. Josh should have had a minute. He beat the cat. That was a tremendous combination he got up from there. That was fight-ending stuff for most people, but he bounced up. He was good. He walked to his corner, and we've seen people able to carry on in worse situations than that. Now, I texted Josh yesterday morning, and he said, I had a smile. Watch it. He said, I had a smile on my face. I was pissed off because I knew I'd made a mistake.
Yeah.
He said, I was leaning on the ropes. He said, I heard the bell going. I was leaning on the ropes because I knew the bell had gone. I knew I had my minute rest. I was waiting for the stool to come in. As you see, a lot of fighters do. A lot of fighters hold the ropes while they wait for the stool to come in. He said, I turned around at 8, didn't pay much mind to it, and the fight was already off. So, but I deserve, the way the fight was going, I know it's not the referee. The referee doesn't think like this in the moment. But the way the fight was going, the fact that the bell had already gone, the fact that Josh had beat the count and he wasn't all over the place, he should have been given a minute. And the referee could have stopped him within 10 seconds of the next round if he had to.
Yeah, no problem. No controversy. And that's what bugs me because we've been robbed of more of the story. The story just started. We've had one guy start well, the other guy looking like he's going to stop him. The other guy knocks him down because Wood can knock you out the ring. Wood can knock you out. Wood can finish fights. But we got robbed before we even got a chance. And it bugs me because, yes, I talked to my brother this morning, he's probably going to get knocked out in the next round, in the next salvo. So what? Let him do it. We don't go into that ring saying, oh, Seb, it's a world title fight as well. Let's get this on the line as well. This isn't just a standard, and this is a world champion, a 2-time world champion. If anyone deserves a break or a little bit of luck or at least 1 minute to try and recover, and he's one of the fittest British boxing for me. Josh Warrington, look at his output, look at the way he fights, look at the shape of the man. I won't take nothing away from Leigh Wood. No, nothing. Fair play to him. He's pulling it out the bag when it looks dead, but it's so frustrating as a boxing fan to see a man robbed of an opportunity to do something that you go, wow, fair play to you. You know, the story was just, it just ended the story. And another thing, one thing I will add as well, reason I'm so passionate. Not only do you have, in my brother's situation, he has 2 brothers and his trainer he's been with for 20 years. So you got the 3 most closest people who do not want to see him get hurt. I don't want to see my brother get hurt, but I don't want to see him have any. I don't want to have this conversation 8 years later or whatever it is. I've still got a big grudge with Alexander. I have, because I just think you robbed us, man. You're going to get knocked out. That's easy. Yeah, my brother got knocked out. He was beat by the better man, elite fighter, no problem. But that isn't the case here. That probably was going to be the case, but you've left that question mark forever. And Josh Warrington's got that question mark forever. You can't replay. You can't go back in time. And for the referee, these A-class star referees, to think that they can't give a fighter of that caliber a minute to have a chance, because if he wobbles out the corner, stop him then. You've got he's heard the clacker, 10 seconds left. You've heard the bell, and you know he's got a minute, and you stop him. That's 3 big mistakes. Clacker, up, bell, up, corner, stop. That's a boo-boo, and I do think they should come down hard on things like that, because give him a minute. And more than that, last point on this is what the Americans call a ringside physician. There is a doctor, a head specialist doctor, sat at ringside. We've seen it with cuts. If this was a cut, what happens? They go to the corner, they get a minute, and then someone comes over and looks at the cut. What's the difference between a cut, a concussion, and a knockdown? It's all damage. So let's treat it the same. And yeah, I'm gutted for Josh. I hope he does watch this, because I'm happy for Leigh to be able to pull out things, and I've got nothing against Leigh, but I think Josh has been robbed of just an opportunity to put himself in a British Fight of the Year. Because if he gets up, goes on and wins, after that, you've got all that drama. You just robbed the drama. And I'm a huge boxing fan. I don't want to see anything controversial. I don't. I want to see it clean cut, full stop. And that wasn't. That was a comma.
Right. Well, you spoke from the heart. You care. It was brilliant. Thank you, Ryan, for that massive contribution. But now we're going to move on to, still on that fight, so to speak. I'm going to talk about Leigh Wood, and just what are your thoughts on him? I'm just finding him more and more quite remarkable that it took him like 8-9 years to get where he is. And you talk of great stories. What he's done is a fantastic story. I'm going back to the night that Josh lost to Maurizio Lara. I think it was that, Phil. John will correct me, when he beat Reece Mould. Was that it?
Yeah, stopped him. Looked really good. Looked brilliant.
You know what? But even for 4 rounds in that fight, he looked terrible, I thought. I remember the first 4 rounds, I was thinking Reece was going to win. And also how this guy bounces back. I thought the first 4 rounds, I thought Reece was competitive with him.
Really? I think with Leigh Wood, there's a gap there. Between
the gap was proven in the end, the way he fell away. But I just thought even then there was nothing there to suggest he would become this sensation. He then lost that fight to Jazza, and then Lara, the way he bounced back from that. And now he's pulled this out the bag the other night against Warrington, who was, okay, we've got the controversy whether he agreed, disagree. But that, he still went on floored and badly hurt. You disagree with the stop the other night. The guy was showing his best form since the Frampton fight. And who was the Frenchman he fought? Stephane Takuscu. That was the Warrington of 2017. Warrington of 2017, 2018 he beat the other night. I just think he's quite remarkable, the Conlon fight. And I just think he's just become a remarkable professional. And it's just quite sad that he's not a mainstream name. I think if he was a London fighter, people will just be waxing lyrical about him forever. But because he's from Nottingham, I just think he's in the Midlands. Look how long it took Carl Froch to emerge, being from a smaller city. Just with your thoughts on Leigh Wood.
Yeah, I love watching him. And do you know what? He's the best featherweight in the world, isn't he? No matter what we think of a finish on at weekend, he's beaten Kanzu, Michael Conlan, Maurizio Lara, and Josh Warrington. Incredible. And he's done 3 of those this year. No, he's beat Lara, fought Lara twice, come back from a devastating defeat, beat him, and beat Warrington in 8 months. Nobody does that in a minute on the world scene. His turnaround is incredible. Me and Ryan were talking about the night he boxed McDonald. Must be 8 or 9 years ago.
Oh God, that's longer than that. That 2014
a long time ago.
But he looked great for 6 rounds and fell apart because he was doing super bantam. Yeah, and if you'd said it's going to take this kid 10 years to get to this level, and this is the standard he'll be, I wouldn't have ever believed you.
He was, he was inside. I think he was 8 stone 9 that night. He was 121 pounds for that fight.
It's one of the biggest. When he first, I've known Leigh Wood a long time, and I sparred him, and you knew he was good. Him and Gallagher, we could come down to our Norwich gym. We only had one spar between me, Liam, him, and you knew they were both going to be good fighters. I didn't know they were both going to be world champions, but they had pedigree. They were very good, and Leigh Wood hasn't changed a lot since then. He's been long, spiteful, and there's a certain range where when he hits you, you know you've been hit, and that's proven now as a featherweight. But I smile there that I'm a bit good as well. I did tell this, John. It's been by far the best British featherweight scene in my time or in any of the history. I know we had Naz. He was like an outlier, and he was so much better than everybody in Britain. But right now in Britain, if you think, because when John's and you're talking about him here now, I can't knock anything, and I don't want to. But Jazza Dickens still beats him because Jazza Dickens has a style. Do you know what I mean? How crazy is that? That we're saying how good Leigh Wood is. We've seen that Warrington was possibly going to be, but he knocked him. He got the knockout win. But Jazza still beats probably both of them. And Jazza doesn't even get in the conversation because he's a Liverpool lad who doesn't talk rubbish and whatever. But it's this politics thing with boxing that's what annoys me about the game. We've had a fantastic run of featherweight champions. I wish I would have got to fight more of them. But if you think Selby, Warrington, Frampton, Jazza, Leigh Wood, that's 5 genuine.
Scott Quigg.
Scott Quigg was a featherweight, but he was probably more successful.
Super bantam.
Scott Quigg did have a good fight with Valdez. I think he failed the weight for Valdez. I feel like he did. But yeah, we've just had probably one of the best crops of featherweights. I was happy to be some tiny part and get to fight 1 or 2 of them. I'd have loved to fight them all. Me and Wood had chances to fight. I just think it's a statement when you can say the best featherweight in the world is probably British. And then there's a featherweight that people aren't even talking about is probably still bit. I would still say would beat him. I was there live when I think he probably could have got the stoppage. I think the referee got in another time when the referee made an indecision. I was there commentating. I was a commentator. I said, wait a minute, he just cost him $5,000. We don't do standing counts. You watch the Leigh Wood Jazza fight, and Jazza's got him all but done on his feet. And that's where I'll give Leigh Wood his biggest credit. When I've been there live, I heard a comment once, my brother did, a quoted comment from people that shouldn't have said it, but the comment was he can't fight. And I said this to Liam this morning, kind of like, and he went, oh, he can fight, but his best attribute actually isn't in the mix of a fight. There's a certain range, like we said on Saturday, but when he hits you, he's got really good power at that range. Up close, you can outfight him and out-hustle him. Warrington was proving that. Jazz has proved it. McDonald showed it. But what he seems to be able to do, and you can only credit him, is get through them hard times, which he didn't do with McDonald, probably because of the weight, and give McDonald his credit. I was there live for that fight. It cost my brother thousands of pounds. On that fight, McDonald just outlasted him because McDonald's super fit and he's really tough like his brother. And he for a man who, if he had any weight problems, he was going to find him on that night with him because he took a licking early on McDonald. He took a licking because Leigh Wood is big, spiteful, but he's actually not. His best attribute isn't a fight in the fight. He can fight without a doubt because he proved that with Jazza as well. I do give him lots of props, and he has, like you said, who would have thought he was going to be the best featherweight in the world right now? Because I actually don't still think he is. He's crazy, isn't it? I give him all the props. I give him all the plaudits. Yeah. I still say Jazza would beat him. I think Warrington was on his way to beat him. But here we go. That's why right. We love boxing, right?
Right, round 3. Yeah, one of us. We just sit here tonight. We can just go down and have a coffee, John, while Ryan just, as he says,
sorry,
fantastic.
Sorry, lads.
Yeah, don't ever say sorry, mate. People want to hear you more than me. John, round 3, can't foul fights. And as soon as you told me this topic, I had 3 that come up.
Yeah, everyone knew Wood and Warrington was going to be a banger, didn't they? And I was just thinking of other fights that you could even think of now. And by the time you got in the ring, it wouldn't disappoint. You get Fury Usyk, everyone wants to see it, but it could easily be a stinker, couldn't it? And Buatsi Aziz, I think will be a good fight, but I could easily see as Buatsi showing his class and running away with it. But how about Josh Taylor against Avanesian? How about that for a
rematch?
And the other one that's come up is Dennis McCann against Andrew Kane. How about that one?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you one. What's going to happen? Nick Bull Dogface. I think that's going to be brilliant. Kakati and Ghana is going to be great fun. And you know what? I found there's a little one happening. Not a little one. It's for a Commonwealth title. I'm looking forward to Louis Green and Sam Gilly.
Oh yeah. Gilly's always in the
fight. Super welterweight. Because I feel Gilly can whack. Louis Green, he's gone on the road, won the title in Scotland. That is going to be, it's one of those fights that can go so far under the radar, it's not going to be broadcast anywhere, but that is a great fight. That is a fun, I'm not saying they're going to be world champions, but that's a really good fight. And they're the 3 that come to my mind straight away. Showing my nervousness, I suppose, talking Louis Green and Sam Gilly, I guess. What's the count fouls for you, Ryan?
I haven't really got any that I could bet. I've enjoyed all the ones that you just said, lads, and I think you're right. I couldn't agree more with John with the Usyk, but the Buatsi Aziz is one that I'm really interested because I think if Aziz can put his style on Buatsi's going to have to show something he's never had to show. He's going to be in the fire because Aziz has got one way to win, which is to get close. So if Buatsi hasn't got my dad said something to me a long time ago, which is an interesting thing to say from someone who hasn't had a professional fight and he done only a little bit of sparring. He said, the thing about boxing, at some point in a boxing match, a fight will break out. So if you can't fight, you're kind of in trouble. And that's what we'll find out, I think, with the Aziz Buatsi fight. A fight will break out. And if Buatsi can't fight to the level of Aziz, it's big trouble. But I think you might be right, John. He's got that. He's got a very good skill set and maybe he can navigate him. But we'll see. That's why we love boxing. Boxers, fighters, we love seeing that.
Yeah.
I can say.
It could easily be more one-sided than we think. And Fury Usyk, as I said, it could just be a horrible clash of styles. But sometimes you can see it on paper. Steve knows the kind of fights I like.
Yeah.
And you can just see on paper that it's going to be a cracker before it even gets underway.
Yeah. Out of all them.
Go on, Steve, next round.
Round 4, state of boxing, Ryan. We'll just sit here for 3 minutes or longer.
Well, I alluded to it at the start. Please get me when I get too far because I do love this sport. I don't want anyone watching think, he's like I ain't got a chip on my shoulder about boxing. I just want it to be ran more professionally from the ground up. I want people to get the buzz out of it that I get when I look back in some ways. I mean, I'd like to see 15 rounds, smaller gloves. I'd like to see it stop being so soft. I mean, it bugs me. This is a hard sport, and it's a sport that I love. And what got me on the state of boxing is when my girlfriend, who's as casual as they come, made a statement. Like I said at the start of the show, that boxing has become too scripted. She used the word scripted. She don't really know much about it. She's 26, she's a nurse. But when I was listening to her and the YouTube influence, and I am a purist, I'm a massive boxing fan. I understand change. But if we're going to change it, let's change it in the right ways. Let's stop having 15 belts. I mean, I've fought for a nothing belt, and you never hear me saying I've done this. Let's have some pride in let's have some professionalism. It bugs me that this idea, the idea of boxing is the best idea I've ever heard. You got 2 men who are going to go away for a set amount of time, turn up and entertain everybody, and give their all in front of people like gladiators, modern day gladiators, and then it's ruined by soft referees, it's ruined by corrupt governing bodies, it's ruined by this narrative that you can be a YouTuber and come and fight a professional. You can be it doesn't happen in other sports. Why does it happen in our sport? Because it's more of a business, and it's something that I don't know. It started to bug me when she said that half gave me a sleepless night. That this sport of ours, this thing that I love, has become a kind of a joke and a show. And the reason it will always be one of the reason boxing's so good is we all grew up, we all have been on a playground, and if there's a fight, what's going to happen? Everyone's going to turn up, get in that circle, and watch that fight, and that's then took to professional because I think humans love to see a fair, controlled bit of aggression and cheer on the man, and it just the state of boxing is at a point where it's become clowned, and it's become clowned due to your YouTube influence, due to your stupid rules, due to your stupid bodies, due to the cheats. And that's another thing she said. After saying that and giving me a sleepless night, we go on this walk, and she said, you know what, I'd like to just see sportsmen who are doing human things. She didn't say it like this, but I knew what she meant. And it's what I've been saying to her, really. I'd like to see humans doing superhuman things without drugs. And that's another reason I in sports in general bugs me, because I look at everyone and I doubt everybody. And yeah, I don't want to run onto it too much, but sports. That's it.
I think you've summed it up pretty well there. And you know what? I think a lot of it, before we move to the next topic, I think a lot of it also, you talk about how it's been clowned because it wants to appeal to the YouTube generation who want everything you have to be. That's where they're trying to appeal to. But
and do you know the other part of YouTube that I think's ruining it? The interviewers who are just like little gossip girls in the playground, going interviewing Eddie Hearn and saying, Eddie, have you heard what Frank said? And then going to Frank and say, Frank, have you heard what Eddie said? And all we're doing is passing messages like little schoolgirls.
John, I'll tell you what's doing me more. Maybe because I'm old school from another generation. It's not how I was educated in journalism. We're also in an era where it doesn't help the sport, where the journalists are being made out to be the stars. You know, I said this last week on there. Your opinion might matter as a journalist, but what you don't fucking matter. You know, and I think that's another problem. You see some fight weeks, and there's more journalists being interviewed than fighters. But there you go. That's just me, and
I don't think a lot of them have ever been in a gym properly. They might turn up in a gym with a camera, but they don't know how to act in a gym. They don't know how to act around fighters and around fights. We don't realise how serious it is. We don't realise how hard it is. We just see little gossip. We see little arguments on the internet. Turn up, think I can do that, and just start acting like a dick in front of these people. And I think that's ruining it as well.
That's a great point. These guys are serious athletes. They're serious hard men, and I think a lot of these guys think they're all comics because of these one-liners they make. But there you go. We better push on because of the time constraints on this recording. Round 5, I'll be quick here. Billy Joe Saunders. You know, he's obviously, he's been away for a while. So when I say been away, just been out, out of boxing for about 2.5 years. Is it 2.5 years now? And, he's been a lot more profile the last couple of weeks. He signed a boxer with another promoter last week who he's managing. And he looks like he's coming back in December. It's just what it holds for him after 2.5 years out. I don't think he'll never get anywhere near to what he was. I'm just guessing that he's hoping to sort of get in somewhere on the Ben Eubank sort of gravy train because he's talking Charlo's, Benavidez. But I just don't see how that happens for him because he's remembered in America for his performance against Canelo that night. I just wonder where you think he goes in his career, fellas.
Yeah. Go on, Ray.
I'm absolutely shocked. I seen a video of him and he must have been 15, 16 stone. The thought that he'd be fighting, the thought that he signed. This is actually the first I'm hearing about it, and that is shocking. I've known Billy Joe for over 20 years. First time I ever met him, he told me in an amateur change room, I'm going to stop this guy. You watch him, and he did. I'm a fan of what he can do. He's a really good southpaw. He can fight. But for him to be fighting again, that has actually shocked me because he was huge the last time I seen him. And I couldn't agree with you more. I don't see him getting to them heights, and maybe that is the plan, to try and somehow get a fight with Eubank, because people would turn up to see that for sure. But size, weight, and weights and things, I just don't know how it'd work.
Where do you think where he goes, John?
I've seen talks that in December he's going to be fighting at light heavyweight. Because
there you go then. Yeah.
He can't make an impact at light heavyweight unless that's just a fight to get him back into action at like 170 before he gets down to super middle. But look, Billy Joe's not going to go the long call here, is he? And try and box his way into world title contention, a mandatory shot. Billy Joe coming back for money, and I think you've nailed it. To be honest, I think he's just coming back to try and get on the Eubank train. To be honest.
Yeah, I didn't see the light heavyweight thing. It was quite a lot. I remember when he was a middleweight, and I always thought then if he dieted properly, and he could even have done 11 stone.
Yeah, I'm sure already.
That's easy for me to say. I'm not in the dieting, and I just think
like when we say a light heavy contest, it might be 172 pounds, to start working down to 168. But we'll see. I'll see it when I believe it. To be honest.
Yeah. Well, final round, John. You touched on fights that that appeal to you, and this one I know is the sort of fight that you really get excited about, John. Which one is it?
Remind me, Steve. I've lost all my notes.
Oh, here we go. You mentioned it on the other day. Sheeraz Williams. I've given you the
Sheeraz Williams, of course. Sheeraz Williams.
I'll give you the Diamante build up here. John Evans on Sheeraz Williams. Let's talk about it, John.
Sheeraz Williams. We've talked about so many fights; they'll all pass me by. But yeah, you know what? That came as a bit of a shock when we announced Sheeraz and Williams.
Yeah.
Sheeraz has been getting a big build, hasn't he? He's been positioned for a shot at this WBO title. And the fact that they're putting him in with someone like Liam Williams, if Liam turns up on his game, he's a horrible hard night for anybody. And it is a step up for Hamzah. He had the real problems with Bradley Skeet, didn't he? Then we saw him get put over about 3 fights ago. The last 3 fights, he's been fantastic. He's really looked the business. But this is a step up. Liam's going to be in Last Chance Saloon. Liam's got to win. If Liam loses to Hamzah, it's done for Liam. And with a world title fight just on the horizon, with the Denzel Bentley fight bubbling away, which we've seemingly been building towards, I was surprised they've made this. Now, Steve said a few times on this, Frank Warren's an expert at picking the right time for the right fight against the right person. And I think it'll probably turn out that way. But it might be precarious for a couple of rounds. I can't wait. I just hope we get a fully firing, fully motivated Liam Williams.
Yeah, I mean, Frank's great at that. I think Bull Dogbay's got shades of that in Frank. But what I will say, from the time at Box Nation when I was working for Frank and working closely with him, he's always been sold on Hamzah from day one. Always been. I think I've said this to you before, John, as well. Yeah. Frank gets certain fighters he is just attracted to from day one. And if you're one of them fighters, you're very fortunate because Frank will, he'll believe you and give you what he believes, the right fights, right time. And he's mapped out that career perfectly. There was the skate, but the last fight going to Poland, fighting a Ukrainian, and when you looked at the size difference, it was just perfect matchmaking to get him a stoppage win and people talking when he was the away fighter as such. And I just think he's always believed in Sheeraz, and this is another one where he just feels right fight, right time. How do you see it, Brian?
I couldn't agree more. I think Frank is very good at that. He's very, very good. He's got a very good record with it. But this is why we love boxing, because I'm with John as well, that Liam Williams is just a hard night for anyone. And if he turns up and decides, no, I'm not going to be a stepping stone for you, I don't think whatever Liam Williams turns up, it will be a hard night. I don't suspect anyone can just walk through him. I know he's had a few performances before. Remind me of his last one, so.
The last big one was Eubank, where he was
Eubank.
The last fight against Eubank. Yeah.
I think the last fight he stopped someone in a couple of rounds. The French guy, didn't he, not so long ago?
Yeah, but the last big one was Eubank, wasn't it? Where he just wasn't himself.
Yeah, it was a surprise because Liam Williams is an hard man, and I think what Frank's done is he's weighed it up. This is a name. So it is that stepping stone. But I just think I'd never write Liam Williams off, and I'd never use him for that because that could bite you on the ass. But yeah, Frank's been in this game a long, long time. So if he thinks it's the right time, you suspect he could be. But I won't be surprised if Liam Williams could, upset the apple cart.
You know what? I think the press conference is this Wednesday, and Liam will have convinced himself by going there. They're just throwing me in here, and it's the sort of thing he will get sparked up by that press conference. Sheeraz does love a hand. He plays his image perfectly. Sheeraz, he always wears more often than not, you see him in a really smart suit at the press conferences. You could just see that's the sort of thing. Liam will get riled because he's, his former promoter, Frank Warren, who he's spent a long time, is bringing him in basically to hoping he gets beaten because obviously Hamzah's his man. That's what boxing is.
Yeah, this is exactly it. And maybe if that doesn't inspire Liam, nothing would. So I know it'd inspire me if he was going to try and feed me to someone. I'd be very...
Right, give us a story, Ryan. You must have turned up for a fight one time, having a very clear and knowing that you would be away man here. Come on, give us a...
You've got
I'll be honest with you,
Ryan.
How long?
You've got 2 minutes about, and we've got to say how good. 2 minutes,
this
40
one is
seconds.
passionate. This one's passionate, John, and it's the total opposite. I turned up, the British champion, thinking I'm the fucking man. They sat me on the left side of the table, on the loser's side. My brother sits on the right side. Liam, another champion. And it was only at that moment, I looked right, looked left, they put me on the loser's side. Frank Warren put me against the Irish guy, to James Tennyson, and I have never been so inspired. I remember thinking, you're going to put me on the loser's side? You want me to feel like a loser? And I think in that fight, I did go in the red corner. That's another thing about the state of boxing. Fuck them corners off. Don't give the judges the easy nights to say, oh, blue corner's meant to win. So when I get a close round, I'll go blue corner. Absolute joke. I still had an apology from my referee. Watched the Bellotti, my fight against Bellotti, and the referee, Ian John Lewis, scored that fight to Bellotti. I won 9 of 12 rounds. That's another state of boxing where I've gone to it. But sitting back on that table, I'll never forget. Is it done? Is it gone?
No, you got another. Give us another 30 seconds. Go on, upside down, wherever. Go on.
It was the best. It was the best, right? Because I was sat there, and it wasn't until being on that table when I looked at my brother as champion and another champion, and wait a minute, I'm a champion. Why am I sat on that side? We all know it works, and it was really good for me. It actually helped me a lot because I thought, I'll show you. And if Liam Williams gets that type of attitude, we'll watch out for him because as a fighter, there's nothing. I was the home fighter. I was the Frank Warren fighter. And I'm looking around and I'm the champion. I'm like, well, why am I sat here? And I told Liam, I looked at it and it was so good. Liam's opponent was my size. He fought Troy James. And my opponent was a little bit taller than Liam. And I said to Liam, we've done it perfect. Because I sparred Liam hard. He sparred me hard. And he was nothing on my brother. Most of the people I've fought are nothing on my brothers. So I was always had an advantage. I've still not fought anyone better than Liam. And who can hit out of the mic. I've been blessed in boxing. But that was the story of sitting there. Didn't know I was the aware fighter as champion. That's rare, isn't it? Sitting there, what's going on here? Honestly, it was you come right here.
I'll tell you what, before we cut off, I've got to thank you, Ryan, for coming on. I hope we get you on again in a couple of months because you speak like you care, you're moving about, you're brilliant on it. Fantastic having you on this. John, thank you as always. You've had a really easy night tonight, John, on the pod. No guests here, we've got to rev up. You just bring Ryan Walsh up every time it's a referee does something controversial he disagrees with. Fellas, thanks for coming on. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
For all boxing info, news, and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.